In today's show, the Charlotte Hornets find a way to end the Blazers' quest to lose every single game, and for a moment, the tank stops rolling. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking about a win that was supposed to be a loss, a win that maybe felt like a loss, and a win that, honestly, frankly, the Blazers played bad enough to lose and just couldn't quite pull it off. Before we get too deep into this, I hate this stuff. I hate it. I hate that for a third straight season, we're at the end of the Blazers run of the year, end of the Blazers season, and the point is to lose. And when they go up against a bad team, and a bad team that kind of says, you know what, let's juice the injury report, and the Blazers are saying, we're not bringing anybody back. We're keeping our, no one, people aren't going to play down the stretch. That everyone is incentivized to lose, and like so many fans are checked out on the season, right? But the diehards, the sickos, my good people listening to this program, I love y'all. Like, you are supposed to root for the team to lose. A friend of mine texts me like, they can't even get it right. Even when they're supposed to lose, they win. That stinks. Why? It's just no good. It's no good. It's no good. Who is this for? The Blazers aren't doing anything like wrong specifically. This is the right move, but it's no good. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Blazers game against the Charlotte Hornets. They found a way to found a way to win. They just could not out-bad the Hornets in this one. Updating the tank standings, like what this win means, because it has a tangible impact on the Blazers' future probably, which also sucks. And then I want to talk about Scoot Henderson, who played pretty well in this game, and Chauncey Billups, who is headed to the Hall of Fame this summer. Congrats to Chauncey. That's what we're going to do in today's show. I just wanted to whine up front. I want to get the sort of my tanking woes up front. Like I mentioned last year, I believe I used the phrase that tanking kind of kills my spirit, and it really does. What is the point of it's such an insult to what basketball is supposed to be. It is just. Like, again, the Blazers are doing the right thing. Losing is important for them. For the Hornets, losing is important for them. But it's just such a bastardization of the point of competitive sports. Like, oh yeah, and you try to win. You do everything you can to win. You're cutthroat, and you do all these things. And then if sometimes you just lose at all costs. It's a problem with the league. My friend Keith Parrish, who was on the program last year around this time, has a solution where you just get a lottery point every time you beat a team that has a worse record than you in the standings. Unless teams would really game it, and maybe some would in a Victor Wembanyama year, it's really hard to game. It's really hard to game because you're always incentivized to beat. You'd have to lose a bunch, but you wouldn't be getting points when you were losing, and then win a bunch. It would be hard to pull off in the way that teams do it now. That's the actual solution. Okay, let's get into the recap of this game. It was nonsense. Blazers up 30-21 after one. The Hornets didn't hold everybody out they could have. Grant Williams and Brandon Miller were both on the injury report. They ended up playing. Miles Bridges was on the injury report, and he missed the game. According to the Charlotte Observer, this is just the second game he's missed this year due to injury they called a right wrist contusion. Blazers they're rolling along with the group they've been rolling with. Still no Ant, still no Jeremy Grant. There's no way Jeremy Grant's going to play again this year, right? No Malcolm Brogdon. No way he's going to play again this year. And Shaedon Sharpe, maybe is looking doubtful for Shaedon Sharpe, but maybe. So the Blazers start Scoot Scoot Henderson, Ryan Rupert, Chris Murray, Jabari Walker, and DeAndre Ayton in this game. I think the Blazers had the best player on the floor in DeAndre Ayton. So that is always going to work against you in a game you're trying to lose. Blazers up 30-21 after one. They only scored 15 points in the second quarter, though. It was bad, and they go into halftime up 45-44. They're up one after three, and then you get down to the nitty gritty. Like this game is the Hornets take the lead with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Blazers immediately answer with a DeAndre Ayton mid-range jumper. So now we're at the 3-minute mark, 3:15 when DeAndre's jumper goes in off a feed from Scoot, and it's like tied at 81. Neither team's going to hit 90. Who wants it less? Players don't really tank. I recall a time during the incredible 2012 tank of the Golden State Warriors in which Mark Jackson had them not intentionally foul in a 1-point game against the Grizzlies. And also he played Dominic McGuire at point guard in that same season. And they ended up getting Harrison Barnes and keeping a protected pick and winning the championship in 73 games the following year. It was fine. It's just players in general, players do not tank. Franchises tank, coaches tank. Certainly we've seen Chauncey Billups do some wild things. This is just coming down to it. Two bad basketball teams, and who's gonna have a chance in the final 30 seconds. Blazers actually take a 4-point lead. They respond to trailing with 3.5 minutes left. They respond with a 6-0 run, take a 4-point lead, but they couldn't quite put them away. Up one. The Hornets have to foul. Scoot Henderson steps to the free throw line. 18.5 seconds left. You make them both, and you're going to win the game. At this point, the Charlotte Hornets are 5 of 30 from 3. They're just not going to make another three-pointer. Not under duress. You're going to win if you make a 3. And Scoot Henderson badly clangs the first, and then kind of softly clangs the second. And the Hornets get the rebound. DeAndre Ayton almost committed a foul 94 feet from the rim, or 92.5 feet from the rim, with the clock running under 20 seconds. Maybe DeAndre Ayton knew the assignment, but the Hornets don't call a timeout. They push the other way. Brandon Miller gets into the paint and takes a pretty tough runner. He probably could have taken a pull-up earlier, but he got himself in a little too deep, put up a runner. Ball comes off the glass. In the scramble for the rebound, Jabari Walker, who's been gobbling up rebounds, gets the other way, and they call a foul as he's trying to get out from. I thought he was just gonna be able to dribble out the clock, but they called a foul. He makes both free throws. Blazers go up by 3. The Hornets, who didn't call their timeout, now have a timeout. That's why sometimes you don't call a timeout in those situations, so you have a chance in case things go wrong. They set themselves up for one final look at it. They're supposed to switch everything, and in that one of the exchanges, Scoot Henderson's supposed to switch, and he falls down. He slips, and so Davis Bertans gets a wide open catch and shoot 3 from the corner. The Latvian laser leans back and brick. 5 of 31. Ball clangs off. Blazers hold on to lose 89-86. It's just a game. Listen, you can't fault the Blazers for this one. They scored 89 points. They shot under 40% from the floor, 39.8% from the floor. They shot under 27% from 3. They turned the ball over 16 times. You can't really fault them. 89 points, under 40% shooting. That's it. They tried to lose. They tried their best. They gave it all they had, and you got to commend them for giving it all they had. It's just the Hornets sucked even more. They were so bad. Brandon Miller, who's like a league average 3-point shooter, shoots 37% from 3, which is basically the league average, right around there. He was 1 of 8 from 3, 9 of 20 from the floor. Trey Mann was 0 of 6 from 3. Davis Bertans 1 of 6 from 3. They were 5 of 31 from 3. They got to the free throw line. They were plus 11 at the free throw line. They had 5 fewer turnovers. They had 6 more shooting possessions, 90 if you include 6 fewer shooting possessions the Hornets did. So the Blazers had a chance there, and that's maybe the difference in the game is the offensive rebounding for the Blazers. They had 14 to the Charlotte's just 2. So the Blazers plus 6 if you include free throws and field goal attempts and the shooting possessions. That's probably your ball game right there. But the Hornets just shot bricks. Brandon Miller just shot bricks. Scoot was pretty good. DA was pretty good. Jabari Walker started in what may have been wildest offensive performance I've ever seen, missing layups and dunks to finish with a really fun night, 14 points and 22 rebounds. But the Blazers, like they were bad enough to lose in this game. I don't think you can get too critical of them. They just didn't have it in them to only score 85 points. And the Hornets, Brandon Miller missed a shot that would have been a go-ahead bucket in the final 20 seconds. Davis Bertans missed a shot that would have sent it to overtime. They had chances. And the Blazers scored under 90. In 2 games against the Hornets this season, the Blazers are yet to crack 90. That's pretty incredible. This game has real implications, though, because this was the loss. This was the one they needed to make all of their dreams come true. The Blazers now up to 20 wins, while the Hornets and Spurs are at 18. They would have been tied with the Hornets at 19 wins, but the Hornets would own the 2 victories over the Blazers, the head-to-head tiebreaker. So the Blazers would effectively have just jumped the Hornets with they could lose out and control their destiny. They would have been there. They would have been right there for the 4th best lottery odds. Instead, they're probably locked into 5th. It seems pretty unlikely that they're going to that Charlotte and San Antonio are both going to win enough for the Blazers to make their move in the final handful of games here. This was their chance to get their best lottery odds. This was the chance to root for them to lose, and they didn't lose. I have trouble saying bad win, but this was a game that the franchise certainly wanted to lose. The players didn't, and they spoiled the plan. Good on them. Okay, let's talk about the real implications, though. The math on this, where the Blazers stand, and some other thoughts on some stray thoughts on tanking. That's what we'll do in the second segment. But first, let's talk about Fire TV. I use Fire TV. I don't have the smart Fire TV, but I considered purchasing one because I use the Fire Stick and I like it. What I like is it's got all the apps I already use for watching TV on there, plus those subscriptions used to watch legacy television, and your prestige television shows, but you can also watch sports, live games, highlights, in-depth analysis. Plus, like I said, it works with smart TVs if you get yourself a Fire TV, but you can also use an Amazon Fire TV stick you can plug right into your existing dumb TV like I do, and you can access whatever you're looking for. Plus, they recently launched Fire TV channels to deliver you a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes us at Locked On, and then most of the big pro leagues and college conferences. For Locked On, you can check out the Locked On Sports Today. It's a 24/7 feed of the biggest stories you need to know from all of the North American sports right there on your Fire TV channel. So it lets you dive into the game analysis and highlights so you can stay up to date. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do so. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. The sports calendar is loaded. It's loaded this time of year. We've got all types of the NBA's heating up, baseball's heating up, college basketball's winding down. You got hockey in full swing, and it's an exciting time to get in on FanDuel action because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. You place any bet, $5 or more, you win that bet, they'll give you $200 in bonus bets to play with. That's 200 bonus bucks you can use to bet on anything from MLB to the NBA to NHL, so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make your first bet a big win. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All right. So I mentioned that the Blazers are unlikely to catch the Hornets and the Spurs. This was win number 20 on the season. The Hornets, they stick there at 18-58. The Blazers, with 6 games remaining in their season, have 20 wins and 56 losses. The Spurs also at 18 wins as well. If this would have been the one, because if the Blazers lose, they're stuck at 19 wins. The Hornets are up to 19 wins. Like I said, the Hornets have the tiebreaker, and the Blazers are there. But why this matters is because of the NBA's it flattened, but still, I don't know, just silly tanking laws. I was going to say draconian, but I don't think that's the right word. That's just a big word that popped into my head. If the Blazers had if they the Spurs are playing a little bit better. Victor Wembanyama is great. He is really, 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 really stinking good. And if you can say, okay, I can picture the Spurs winning one of their final 7 games to end the season. Like they're gonna go 1-6 to close the year, and the Blazers lose out. The Blazers also have lost 2 of 3 against the Spurs because the Blazers have been bad all year. Name your opponents. The Blazers could have dropped all the way to 3rd. The Blazers could have lost this game, lost out for the remainder of the season, and dropped all the way to 3rd. Portland had snapped a 10-game losing streak. Like in some ways, it's like, thank goodness they finally won a game, but this wasn't the game they were supposed to win, right? I mean, I guess they're not supposed to win any games this time of year, which is the stupidest part of all of it, but there was a chance that they were going to end up with the 3rd best lottery odds. And then at least you feel like, I guess the like silver lining there is that you feel like you were rewarded. I watched this dog crap team all year long go 20-62, but at least like they've got decent lottery odds, and those decent lottery odds, if they had dropped all the way to 3rd, 14% a chance at number 1 overall pick, 52.1% chance of staying in the top 4, and you can drop no lower than 7. That's if you finish with the 3rd best lottery odds. That's probably off the table. I think 4th is off the table too. If you're curious, 12.5% chance at 1, 48% chance at top 4, and no lower than 8. Blazers are probably going to finish 5th now. Toronto, despite losing every single game they play, I believe they're 1-15 in their last 16 games, but they can't catch the Blazers. You can't slow down this train of stink. Good luck, Raptors. You shouldn't have ever been competent. That was your mistake. Any level of competence you will fail to catch a team that is deeply committed to losing, like the Portland Trail Blazers. Now the Blazers are likely to finish 5th. 5th means 42% chance of getting in the top 4, 42.1% chance of getting in the top 4, 10.5% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, and you can fall no lower than 9. So like if things really go wrong, if multiple teams jump up into the top 4, 4 teams win the lottery, pretty unlikely. You end up at 9. But like 10.5 at 1, 42% at the top 4. You are, with the 5th best lottery odds, you're most likely to finish at 6. That's your most likely spot. I think this draft is relatively flat. I think people are going to, as we get closer down to it and wherever the lottery ends up, we will obviously dial in more. But like, I think it's relatively flat. I don't think there is a egregious difference between 2 and 8 in this draft. There might end up being like when the players play, like when they get on the court and we actually see what they become. But I think like in terms of opinion of like sort of people who do this professionally, draft experts and folks who do mock draft stuff, it's like you see enough variety in 2 through 8, like players moving around pretty fluidly from even deeper than that, maybe 2 through 11, that I don't think there is a great deal of difference. That's why I think the Blazers didn't invent an injury for DeAndre Ayton. They didn't give him inflatable mattress syndrome or just like, or what. There's been more egregious versions of this. I mentioned that like players don't tank, and I used to say coaches don't tank, and that's before I saw Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups, down for the cause. I am reminded of last April when the Blazers played the Spurs in a similar game, right? And the difference last year was like the Wembanyama prize, right? We thought there was some secondary prizes in specifically Scoot Henderson. He doesn't look like he's going to be as good as Victor Wembanyama. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he does not look to be in that same level of the same caliber of player. He was good tonight, but he has generally not been very good this season. So last year was like more aggressive, right? And there was a game against the Spurs in April, like at the end of the year, and Chauncey Billups tanked so hard in that game that it was almost like a religious experience. It was like, oh, this game doesn't matter. Like this loss matters so much that the team is like subverting the point of basketball. And by that, I mean the final 5 minutes of the game, the Blazers played John Butler Jr., a 6'10", small forward, power forward. Some people called him a center, but I think he's pretty obviously a forward. But like a 6'10", maybe 7 foot tall, wiry forward at point guard for the final 5 minutes of an NBA game. And then when there was a controversial charge that the Blazers could have gotten the ball back with 90 seconds left, Chauncey Billups chose not to use his coach's challenge. Now that is a level of tanking they didn't get to today. Today, the Blazers rolled out the sort of same bad roster they've been playing with. They played a pretty tight eight-man rotation, just with Delano Banton, Ashton Higgins, and Duop Reith off the bench. Banton, Higgins, and Reith ain't exactly like murderers row there. Like they played they're a team that's pretty light on talent. They played their dudes they trust. You didn't get Baji and didn't get Moses Brown. It's like play Moses Brown at point guard. If the game goes to overtime, Moses Brown has to play point guard or something wild like that. I don't think that this was nearly as egregious as that game against the Spurs last April, which was like I said, like it was like doing drugs, because you were like, oh, they're doing the opposite of what should be done here. Like you're watching a team actively try to be worse mid game. Like I said, players don't tank. Some coaches don't tank. Chauncey Billups not one of those coaches. This wasn't that, and I think it speaks to kind of the Blazers' view of the draft. If they could get the third best odds, great, because it's always better to get a higher draft pick because you have more. You get to make more decisions, right? Fewer decisions are made ahead of you, and you have more opportunity, a wider base to make decisions from. But they're going to finish with the fifth best odds, fifth worst record in the league, and they're just going to. That'll be that. I don't think. I don't think they're going to magically bring vets back to play in the final 6 games of the regular season. I think this thing's cooked. And tonight was a game that they could have lost to keep some dreams alive, and they didn't. And I think part of me thinks, good. This is karmic reward for juicing the standings for 3 straight seasons. They're not the first team to do this. They're not the last team to do this, but they're the only team that I podcast about, so they're the team I'm going to whine about specifically. Let's talk Scoot Henderson, who played well in this game, and congratulate Chauncey Billups, who's headed to the Hall of Fame. That's what we'll do to close this particular program. First, let me tell you about Robin Hood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? And Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right. No cap on the 3% match. Robinhood gets you the most for your retirement thanks to the IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer. All right, still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. I think Scoot Henderson played well in this game. He turned the ball over 6 times. He missed a layup to start his night and missed a layup to end his night, but I thought in the middle of those things, this was a good Scoot game. And I want to talk sort of about why I think this was a good Scoot game. The number one reason why, I'm just going to give you some names here. Davis Bertans, JT Thor, Grant Williams. That's your front line. Alexei Pokusevski, Poku, Marcus Bolden, Leaky Black. That's the forwards. That's like the bigs who played for the Hornets tonight. That's probably reason number one. That's probably reason number one that we were treated to a good Scoot game. But I also think Scoot's feet looked better in this game. He made his catch and shoot threes, and some of this, and I want to be totally honest here because I want to be consistent in my in the way that I sort of analyze and appraise these things. Some of this is ball go in. Scoot Henderson made 4 of 7 threes. He looked good tonight specifically because the ball went in. That's kind of the point of basketball, is to make jump shots, I think. But the shots he did make, the first 3 he made was a catch and shoot at the top of the key. The second one he made was a catch and shoot in the corner. The threes he made were with his feet set and on balance. He hasn't shot great on catch and shoot threes. He's been a little bit better by the numbers when he's been able to take a dribble when he's taken pull-ups, because I think he just gets a better rhythm there. But sometimes I think he rushes catch and shoots. These felt like he hit one in the second half where he caught it on the left wing and he looked up. He got into his jumper clean off the catch. It looked great going up and down, and it swished through, ripped the net. because he was shot ready on the catch. Like his feet were under him, his base was under him, his balance was under him, and he took, he made him, right? And maybe he shoots 3 of 7 or 2 of 7, and I don't give him 3 minutes of love here, but like, I think his feet were better. He did a good job getting into some mid-range jump shots, and sometimes in his mid-range jump shots, his feet just get sped up and they get in front of him, and he takes leaning shots when he doesn't have to, or they get kind of too wide, and he jumps from a weird base. And when Scoot jumps off balance, there is no chance that shot goes in. He doesn't. Those you can just like. Maybe he'll make a floater with bad balance, but his jumpers do not go in on bad balance. Like they brick bad. And he had a couple pull-up threes, including one in the second half that airballed, but he had a couple pull-up threes where it's just like he took a dribble and he tried to get himself into shots off the bounce, and they missed badly. I thought he did a nice job getting into his mid-range. They were playing a drop coverage, and he did a good job of eating up space in the drop and taking jumpers. He did a good job of attacking the drop and finding DeAndre Ayton in the little pocket for mid-range jumpers. I thought him and Ayton's connection, particularly in the second half, was really good. Ayton kind of sucked to begin this game, and then he got going in the second half, and he kind of helped bring the Blazers home. He had a really nice third quarter to make sure they were in it. He had 5 jumpers and a layup in the third quarter. He was, he started 4 of 11, but he ended up, which he did not have a very good half, but he was 8 of 11 in the second half, finished with 24 and 16. Scoot finished with 22 and 10 assists to go along with those 6 turnovers. He was 9 of 16 from the floor and 4 of 7 from 3. Like I said, missed his first shot, a layup, missed his last shot, a layup, but was really good in between. I don't know that Scoot's ever going to have the explosiveness to be someone who is like a elite get to the rim, finish through traffic type of guy. He's got some strength to certainly do that, but the sort of the explosiveness maybe I thought that was going to be part of his game, but I'm not 100% sure it will be now. I'm pretty doubtful it will be. So I'm the getting on balance, getting your feet and like your hips and your under you, so you can like jump with your full strength and jump with that full sort of everything in a line. I think that's going to be key to watch for Scoot going forward. It was announced today by the NBA that Chauncey Billups is making the Basketball Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted in a ceremony in August. Billups, of course, the 2004 NBA Finals MVP with the Pistons. He's played on Olympic teams, All-Star games. He had a really solid career. I will say this. I think Billups was basically a lock to make the Hall of Fame once, you win the Finals MVP, you've made All-Star games, you played in as many big games as he has, 6 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals, but 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. It was like he's a 2-time All-Defense. Like, this is the championship put Billups' resume over the top. So like congrats to him, but also the NBA, the NBA Hall of Fame or the Basketball Hall of Fame, is so weird. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame specifically. It's just the Basketball Hall of Fame. Like, I think it would be fine if it was the NBA Hall of Fame and Chauncey wasn't in it, right? Because I think like, he's the Hall of pretty good. He was a darn good player and a darn good team in that era. And like, sure. And they won a title, and does everyone who gets a Finals MVP make the Hall of Fame? Maybe. That's good. It's really good news for Andre Iguodala. But like, Vince Carter made the Hall of Fame this year, and Vince Carter is like an incredibly important part of my formative basketball years. But like, Vince Carter's 2 biggest moments came outside of NBA games. The biggest Vince Carter moments came when he dunked on Frederick Weiss in the Olympics and the 2000 slam dunk contest. Unequivocally, the 2 things you think of when you think of Vince are those. Those are not NBA games. I guess maybe the other thing you think of if you're old enough is him going to his college graduation on the day of Game 7. But that's not an NBA game either. That's attending college graduation. Vince played forever. He was also like Hall of pretty good for me. He wouldn't be a Hall of Famer probably, but 22 years, played forever. It reinvented himself late in his career as like a non-athlete. Like, to wit, Jerry West is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this summer for the 3rd time. What? Jerry West is making the Basketball Hall of Fame for under the 3rd part of his era. He's been around the league for a long time. So like, sure, West is a legend, but he's getting a third enshrinement based on his now contributions to the game. It's odd. It's all very odd to me. So congrats to Chauncey Billups. They'll never take it away. Well-deserved. In general, though, I don't understand the Basketball Hall of Fame. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, come back for tomorrow's show. We'll talk mock drafts. We'll talk how the Blazers should handle drafting with the roster they currently have, and we'll do our Friday spin on the Tankathon. Appreciate you listening. Tell your friends about the program. I'll talk to you soon.